While rape cases across ages are rising, sexual defilement of children appears to be rising even faster as reports of child rape surface with alarming frequency in the country in recent times. Now, the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria has last year resolved that henceforth any defilement of a minor in Nigeria shall attract life imprisonment without the option of a fine, a dramatic escalation from the current 5-year jail term under the nation's criminal code. The resolution was reached during deliberation on the Criminal Code Amendment Bill 2025, which seek to impose stiffer punishment for sexual offenders and also related crime. Now, the bill, which was initially passed by the House of Representatives and later transmitted to the Senate for concurrence, received broad partisanship support. The senators described the defilement of minor as a heinous act capable of destroying the child life forever, insisting that punishment must reflect the gravity of the offense. The Senate also toughened the penalty for rape and related sexual offenses under the amended provisions. Any act of forced sexual intercourse involving a boy, girl, man, or woman will now attract a minimum of 10 years in prison. Yemi Bamidele has recently proposed an amendment to the Criminal Code Amendment Bill 2025 to the effect that a 10-year jail sentence without the option of fine should be imposed on anyone who supplies any drug or substance to a Nigerian girl or woman for the purpose of aborting her baby. This is an increase from the current 3-year jail term. But irrespective of this, a spike in the cases of sexual defilement of minors in almost all parts of the country, making many ask what next need to be done to tame this monster. Should more stiffer penalties be introduced? This edition of Dialogue will be clearly looking at today, and that is dealing with the rising case of defilement of minors in Nigeria. And that's what we're having as a major discourse today on the show. We're looking at the rising case of defilement in the country with it. Many are saying it looks as if a more stiffer penalty would do the trick, but others are saying it looks as if more advocacy should also take center stage. Well, anyway, like I said, it's taking center stage on the discussion today. And to truly help us talk about this, we have no other person but a guest that have for decades now been fighting the issue of not only rape, but also defilement of minors in the country, and most especially in the Niger Delta. And I'm talking of no other person but activist Israel Joe. Activist Israel Joe, nice to have you join us on this lovely edition.
Thank you for having me this morning.
Now, I want us to start by first putting the rest of child defilement, especially as it concerns minors.
I think that these things have been there in my career for a very long time.
Okay.
And it's really not a spike. Okay. But we are in an era of social media, so the reportage of these offenses is coming to fore when it has to do with defilement and rape. These things happens to the prison, and of course not thinking about the debilitating, far-reaching effects, psychological effects on the girl child and the woman that has been raped. So it's not really a spike, but the report forced themselves on women, minors, you know, without consent has always been there. Okay. But they have not gotten this will of expression. That's why a lot of people say that they don't do it. So the report coming from Delta State and beyond is not really what it used to be. But like I said, there are more reportage on these incidents, and but once it happens, they don't want to report. So that also brings us to the disadvantage of the negative pattern of this low reportage from victims, not from the populace. You know, it's easy to report a case when it's not yours. But when it has to do with you, would my community be looking at me that this guy slept with me, this guy raped me, what about my peers, what about... So this labeling from the society, this psychological discomfort that comes along with people tagging you a rape victim would allow a lot of these women not to report. But the truth and the fact remains that these things happen every day, and the men that perpetrate themselves in this act do not believe they would be caught. This is if we're talking about women, but we now have a lot of men trying to sodomize children, guys,
that's where
like male.
That's where I was going now, because you've been talking about women, girls, and all of that. So my question now, I know you've handled a whole lot of cases, and more so you've also ahead and experience some of them. Now, is it only the girl child that is being raped, or the boys are also now having their own share of these monsters taking advantage of them also?
Not at all, not just the girl child. The boy child is now an endangered species in society, because we have had series of issues where we have to arrest people. There's even a case in court. We have several cases in court now that involves a man and little boys. So we have even had a case where a father with the sodomizing the male child, the male child of the man. We had a case last year where a man was sleeping with his 5 years old daughter and also sodomizing the 7 years old male child. And the man we are talking about here is HIV positive man. You understand? The man is has HIV/AIDS and is sleeping with his own children. The case was at Otu Jeremy High Court that we're doing, and of course during I think 3 months ago or 4 months ago, the man died in prison. So I think that death also comes to the end of the era of that case.
But the sad narrative is the children have now contacted HIV.
For now, I think they will still go after 6 months to do all those things. The wife was very sad and heartbroken that the husband was doing that with. Through the times where this man was behind bars, you know, the judge did not grant him bail. Yeah. And of course, when this man was
severity of his case.
Yes, the woman was all there because the woman is also HIV positive as well, because the man gave to the woman, and the man died 3 months ago in the prison. And you know,
well, it's that narrative here in Delta State. But let's continue, because I'm also a bit curious. You've talked about how really sad a narrative is that anybody can, when it comes to not just only outsider, but family members. But I know, like I said, you've handled a whole lot of cases. Let's know the youngest of age you've seen. Because sometimes when we hear these things, we feel they are just from a Nollywood movie.